Hey everyone, it's Mickey and welcome back to Mickey's Madhouse. Um, Today I wanted to talk about how I see the rest of season 4 of From is going to go as far as finding where the kids are buried and being able to find their bones and in my opinion set them free. Now there are a few things. One thing I want to get to because I think some people might not understand how you know how certain people come to the town and who has power to really do do what. So I do want to state this. Now, when Victor in previous episodes tried to cut down the bottle tree, the boy in white told him to stop. This is why I think that happened. One, we do know that just because it's the bottle tree doesn't mean it's means everything is safe. Because remember, when one of the past characters, he's like, "Oh, this is how you got out, huh?" And then he went through it and ended up in the pool wall. Which to me, I was like, um, that doesn't mean he's dead or he's gonna, you could take like a, you know, get like a knife or something, just cut, chip away at the pool wall where he was, but they they didn't. I don't know, certain things like that. It's like that didn't have to. It's like with when they found the door, and I'm thinking, um, if you had some crowbars, you know, some being the operative word, because you had Jade, Randall, and Acosta down there. So I mean, if you had some crowbars, you could pry the wood from it and be able to get in. But yeah, you know, I hope I don't think I'm the only one that thought that. It's like, really, only knocking on it. Well, there are ways to get through wood. So, um, so why I think the boy in white told Victor to stop trying to cut down the bottle tree is because it's not that's not how to free the kids, free their spirits from being stuck there. I think it's because, as far as who has that power to really do something, because we know, and I will get to this as well, that Tabitha and Jade had been there many, their spirit, in a sense, spirit or soul, however you want to call it, they had been there before in different lives. And they were the ones who knew the man in yellow. And I want to point this out too. You know, there's the man in yellow, but Sophia, who he is also, she's wearing green. Sophie, green, you know. And another thing, she's wearing lime green. That's a light color. So, and it's, if you notice, if you look closely, you'll see that the dress is uh, is like a checkerboard, um, layout. So it's like, to me, I think Main in Yellow or Sophie in Green, uh, to them this is like a game. I mean, it is a game to them. But like Alice in Wonderland, this is they're in Wonderland and playing games with all these people. Oh, but this is so fun for them. Oh my goodness, I get to see all these people. And you know, I want to say this. Some people, one of my favorite horror film series is Nightmare on Elm Street, and people always say, well, Freddy got too funny, and you know, you liked it when it was darker. And another thing, on that, I do want to say, people always say the first is the best. I'm not a believer in that. I think people say that because everybody else says it. I'm not somebody who only believes what somebody else says. I like to look for myself, and I've always been that way, and I've always tried to, throughout life, tried to do that. So, part two is the darkest when it came to not having any I don't know what the right term is. It's like if anybody's seen Deliverance or any other kind of movie where it's like when somebody is getting off on hurting you, that to me is more terrifying than somebody who is, you know, like just being super serious about it. It's like, really? You know, it's like, come on. Okay, yeah, we get it. You know, but when someone's like, haha, this is funny. When you have that, well, I don't believe that you have to go through something to know. That's really, that's not a good thing to tell people because that's, no. But, you know, having that, you know, going through that, do you really want somebody who's hurting you and putting, you know, everything's life in harm's way? No. It's not funny. So the fact that, you know, Freddy became more comical, you know, I guess you can say, in that sense, you know, hey, you know, to me that's more disturbing, that's darker in a sense than, you know, the first two films and really the second film. But that's also what the Man in Yellow was doing. This is a game to him. He loves this. So he's getting cocky, and you know, the problem is that it's a game, and I think this is his downfall. Is because he's always won, and he thinks it's, you know, yeah, you know, you tell people certain things because you want them to, you know, to think, you know, you try to get in their head and try to play with them to get them to doubt themselves. So he does that, but you know, certain people, being able to see through that and knowing, you know, and another thing with that is that common sense, like how we see things today, was not the same even 10 years ago, but centuries ago, definitely not the same. So, in today, with people, they can see through things, and they can really use the common sense that we have now to be able to see that if somebody is playing with them, they'll notice it and be like, no. So what the Man in Yellow did to Tabitha, I think, you know, the reason why Boyd agrees to cut down the bottle tree is that Tabitha realized, oh, this is the way out. Like, oh, okay, so thank you for telling me, Man in Yellow. Now I'm going to go tell Boyd what happened. I'm going to go tell the others. Well, this is one of the things that I know certain people when, and I know we all have that, we're in the moment. We don't really stop and really think, you know, okay, so maybe this isn't good, or like when Jade was, he, um, he was tripping, and then he had the flashback in this. Um, he, um, he was told that to
Charging completed. Charging completed. Charging completed.
Sorry, that's the phone. Anyway, that's something that'd be interesting that we see work from. Like, oh, look, a cell phone. I don't think we've seen a cell phone in from. No, that's funny. But so he was told that when they tell the town folk of the plan, they turn on him, and so. But he's so caught up in the moment that he doesn't remember that. A key detail that is something to really, that's something that you need to know, because even though common sense is different now than it was, like I said, even 10 years ago, but centuries ago, still, key details are things that you really need to keep hold of and really need to remember, because if you don't, then bad things can happen. So that's something that was a mistake to tell everybody. So with on that, with cutting down the bottle tree, Victor was not able to do that because the two people, their spirits are stronger. They're able to see through the nonsense, everything going on, and they're able to solve what's going on. So it's not that wouldn't have worked. And again, with one guy that, like, oh, this is how you got out? Okay, so then he went in the bottle tree, and he ended up in the wall of the pool. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. It's not like this tree is the, no, that's not how it works. No. So I think Jade and Tabitha are the two that's, with them and others helping, but it has to be with them, because their spirits are the one. They were the strongest people. That they saw through when the man in yellow, with everybody, when this all started, they were the only two to see that the man in yellow was playing with them. That he wasn't telling the truth. He wasn't trying to be this savior. He was trying to be the savior, and they knew that wasn't that wasn't the truth. So they are the two that have the strength as far as in their spirits that can cut down that bottle tree. Again, like I said, they had a few crowbars. They could pry the wood from the door, but I think the bottle tree, though, because one of the things when I was a kid, I learned that you can use a bottle as an instrument, and it depends on the amount of water you put in it. So with that, then you would blow into it, and it would make, a noise, and depending on the water level, the noise would be different. So that's what I think the bottle tree is supposed to represent, is the difference shift, or the different shift of whatever's going on. Like, so the amount of water, meaning the person's intent, you know. So, but another thing to think of is that, you know, I do think that they could cut down the bottle tree and be safe. I don't think the man in yellow is like, I don't think he's telling the truth when he's saying, you know, oh, that's gonna, you know, bring about something worse, you know, that's gonna make things worse. No, that's a game. And like I said, I think Tabitha, you know, because now, with common sense as it is now, she sees that, you know what, thank you for telling me, so that is how to solve it. So, I think what's going to happen is that now, because their intent is different, they could go through the bottle tree and get to where the kids are buried. But it could also happen that they could cut down the bottle tree, because even though in a separate video, I could talk more about this, but I mean, even the boy in white, or I think by the time the series ends, it'll be the man in white, because he's growing. The boy who we saw even with Victor after the massacre when he was a kid, that the boy in white was still a boy. However, I think that he's growing, and the reason why he's growing is because it's finally coming to an end. So he's able to grow up. It's like, you know, when you've gone through trauma in your life, and even though, yes, you're older, well, the trauma that happened to you was so bad that it completely, you know, ruins any sense of adultness, you know, that you have. It makes it hard to do that. It can either stop it or make it hard to do it. And, you know, so it's the boy, or like I said, by the end of the series, the man in white, even though he is there, he can't, that, you know, and he's supposed to be good, that doesn't mean that the bottle tree is necessarily good. Like I said, the one guy, he went through it, ended up in the pool wall. You know, so that's something to remember. That doesn't mean that the bottle tree is inherently good. It's, you know, like with blowing in the bottle, depending on how you know, where the water level is in it, it's you know, whatever your intent is, then that's how the bottle tree will react. So maybe it is only simple as Jade and Tabitha being able to, with their intent, they have to go in there together. I do think that is the key thing. They have to go in there together. But I think that could be one thing, then that's how they find where the kids are buried and freeing them. But also it could be the fact that, yeah, you know, the bottle tree could be, you know, a sacred thing, but it's still in Fromland. So cutting it down, tearing it, you know, from the roots, you know, don't leave a stump there, no, tear the whole tree out of there, roots and all. And from doing that, that's how they end up, you know, finding where the kids are, and freeing them. So how I think they're going to end up freeing them is I do think that it's possible that the kids, when they were on the rocks, that they looked up into the trees and they used all their hope, all their belief, all their love, everything positive, and they believed that they would come back. they believed that, that they wouldn't be suffering, that, this is only temporary, or that in the Man in Yellow was good. But they know differently now, because being able to warn Tabitha and Jade, that's an important thing. So, what I do believe, because when Jade was like underneath that rock when he was tripping, he saw some of the bones there, and then he heard one of the kids say Nkui and remembered. So I think the kids were sacrificed on those rocks, but then buried underneath the rocks. And as a lot of people might know, one way to free a spirit that's trapped in a certain place, either whatever caused them to be trapped in a place, that when you find their body and or find their bones, their bones are part of their body, but whatever part, whatever state their body is in at death, then being able to, free them, freeze the, whatever paranormal activity is going on, on a property of something, it's finally be able to be free. Now, not always, because it's depending on how they got there. And this is key on this, is because that will free the kids. Some people have said that, yeah, but wouldn't that be bad? They put their hope in stuff, but it was false hope. It wasn't real. That's the thing. People say, yeah, but they put their hope in all that stuff. Again, this is false hope. It's not real. This is what the Man in Yellow did to trick all of them. Not only the adults, but the kids there too. He did it to trick them into doing it. So, cutting it down, cutting the bundle tree down, also would be, if that's, what they end up doing, that would also free the kids, because that false hope, the lies that they were told will, start to be undone. And then all they have to do is, with the concrete slabs, be able to remove them and finally dig up, the dirt and be able to find all the kids' bones that were buried there. And that would be number one on being able to escape from Farmland and finally be free. And this town, this cursed town, could finally disappear and become, it's like I was saying in my previous video, with the game, the Detective Rainy Night, that's when there's a part in the game when they are able to contact the outside world, and they're told where this hotel was, there's a giant crater, like it looks like, like a crater, you like crash into it and it's no more. So in a sense, that could be like what Farm's gonna be when all is said and done, is that, basically it's a giant crater. And so yeah, the first step will be freeing the kids. But I also think what will happen, and this might be interesting for a final scene in the last episode of season 4, is that you see the adults start to wake up and be like, what, wait, what? Like, kind of, because the first step is freeing the kids. The second step is freeing the adults. So, belief, it can be a very good thing or a very bad thing. You tell a kid they could fly and they believe it. You tell an adult and they don't. Well, there's something wrong with believing still as an adult that you could fly. Having that unbelievable belief to where, certain things that might seem crazy to certain people, having that kind of faith can really do a lot of things that others, might not be able to do. That might not be able to make it through things, and I'm not trying to say suffering and good, but, trying to, when you're going through hard stuff, sometimes it's hard to fight and be able to get out of it. So, and of course, this whole town is like, please free me! Please free me! And I'm like, yeah, no, totally, yeah. It's not only the people, it's the town, it's everything in this town. Boy, it'll be weird to see after everything is said and done about all the cars and everything. Are the cars gonna be there? It'll be interesting if they do something to where we see, now that the curse is gone, the land, it could be that they do something like in Detective Rainy Night, where looks like a giant crater landed and everything's obliterated. It could be that. Could be just a vast land of green and, nothing. That's all. So, but once they free those kids, the adults will start to wake up. And the belief, what I was talking about with that, is that the belief, sorry, I'm not good at editing, so I might have certain things, and of course I don't have money to pay somebody, so if you're a good editor, you don't mind doing this for free, let me know, email me, comment below. Also, my link tree link is down below as well, and you can donate to my Cash App, my Venmo, and my PayPal, and that would help me out a lot as well. So, be able to help bring in an editor if I can't find one for free, and be able to make these videos better. So, but once the kids' spirits are free, then the adults will start to wake up. And, I try to talk about this more in depth in another video, but I think part of the reason why not only Jade and Tabitha, their spirits keep coming back to Farmland, it's because what happened, part of their spirits is there, but another part of their spirits is, like it's fragmented, or split in half, whether you want to call it a spirit or a soul, so they keep coming back because they're cursed to this land. So I do think that the other people that come to the town, that their spirit is as well, only with them, it's a little different, because it could be that the spirits of Jade and Tabitha promised that they would come back, doesn't matter how many times, and they're like, we're going to solve this, we're going to fix this, and that's all there is to it. So I think that's one way. I think that's one thing, but I also think the other adults, their spirits were also split in half, and so they keep coming back over and over again. The half of their spirits that are not stuck in Frumley. You know, some people call it Frumley, Frumland. We're all community full of I don't know what you would call from. Community full of misfits, right? Yeah, that's a. I don't know. But yeah, being able. So yeah, the adults. Once the kids are free, the adults will start to wake up, and the adults will start to see that we were lied to, you know. And I know we've seen before where some of them were like, I don't want to be like this. And while, yeah, I do believe that there might be some that might have, but it is also, you know, the man in yellow putting into them that they have to be like him and have to manipulate their way into being able to feed and being able to, you know, being able to live forever. Boy, you know, I mean, that'd be something that, you know, like, you know, you read the contract and it's like, oh, you don't read the fine print, and even if you do, it's not there. Do you really think Smiley wanted to die the way he did with Boyd and the worms, and then come back the way he did in Fatima? No. I really do not believe real Smiley, you know, whoever he was when the curse was made on this land. I really don't think that's how he wanted to be immortal. So it's something to think about that. I don't think that's what, so yeah, also something to think about. It's like, I don't think this is what they were wanting, you know, when they were lied to, manipulated, you know, made to believe that, oh, they live forever and everything's good. But their spirits, they will start to see the truth, because the kids' belief, their hope, their love, all that positiveness that was put into this, that because they also, you know, wanted their parents, wanted the adults to see. I think that's another thing, that they wanted them to see, you know, see the truth as well. And maybe if they didn't know at that moment that what the truth really was, that the truth being is that the man in yellow tricked them all. He's an evil, manipulative, you call him a psychopath, but a psychopath, I always heard it two ways. A psychopath is somebody who goes crazy when committing a crime and doing something. A sociopath is someone who is very calm, who does something very horrible, and is okay with it. Yeah, they're very okay with the people, the lives, the land, everything that they destroy, because, you know, they don't care. Yeah. So I think through that, they will be able to see the truth, be able to wake up, and that's when we will start to see, because it's, one, the kids have to be freed, but through their belief as well, that the adults will see the truth, that also the adults will see the truth, and then their spirits, part of their spirit that splits into the people there now, that came into from now in this cycle, that they that the spirits that's been trapped in Frumland will be free. I really hope they don't do something. It's like with all this stuff, I really hope the person's not standing, talking, and being able to, you know, talk about everything and be able to remember, remember the things that happened and be able to be free. I really hope they don't do something where then the person's free and then their body drops. It's like, don't do that. After everything, please do not do that. I know it's funny. It's kind of like, I can't be the only one who thought this, but when Fatima had building the golem and they're in the room and they're talking, and then you see the golem, he has his mouth, crooked. I'm wondering if that was like a something to make people laugh. I get, the smiley and the smile and everything, but that could be one thing, but it could be another, to where people are like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at you guys talk, but that thing right there, it's like, that's really distracting me, and kind of, it's one of those things when somebody is talking to you, but there's something, like, something is distracting you, like, in that sense, where you're like, really, like, it's just, having those moments, but yeah, I thought that was funny. So, but I hope the adults, when they are explaining this, that they will be sitting down, laying down, and be able to, and it could be that their body would, like a puff of smoke, because, I mean, in a sense, I guess you would say in a sense that's kind of what it is, and I hope they don't do that with the kids' bones, but there might be something like that, or there might be something where they have to do a certain ritual that, besides finding the kids' bones, that they might need to do something that would cause the bones to, like a puff of smoke, or, now, you might hear, if they do something like, or even finding all the bones, there could be something where it's like, like finally finding the truth of something, finally solving a problem and getting out of that problem, finally getting out. There might be this like sound, movements, there could be all of that, to where it's like, okay, that's when everybody will know, okay, step one, got that, step one. So, but it could be something like that with the adults as well, as when they're explaining what happened, they're remembering what happened, that they will see, explaining everything, letting it all free, that they will like dissipate in a puff of smoke or something, and then the spirit that was trapped there with them will go into the other person's body, and the other person can feel complete. Because I don't think all the people that ended up in Frumland, Frumley, I don't think they all have this great, perfect life. Oh my goodness, and then I ended up here. I don't think that's how things went with all of them. And even if certain things were good, I still think there was, something missing in their lives, to where they needed, They needed something to be complete, and I think this will help complete them. So, um, that is, yeah, that is what I think is going to end up happening with the rest of the season, from season 4, um, and going into season 5. Like, I mean, with the adults, them explaining, and I also think what we'll see in season 5 is that because they're explaining their story, they're telling them what happened. And yeah, I mean, a group of people can experience the same thing, but that doesn't mean everything is the same, because it's not like they're all together all the time, you know. So they're going to have points to where they were somewhere and experienced something, you know. So I think that's, you know, we'll see certain things as well. And, you know, that will explain more and more of how things happened. Because, yeah, we know the man in yellow tricked them into, you know, oh, do this and, you know, you'll be immortal, live forever. Okay, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing, in a sense. So, you know, in this sense, definitely not. Like I said, I doubt Smiley wanted to die how he did and come back as like he did. No. No way. I don't think anybody in their right mind really like saying, yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. I mean, yeah. I mean, no one's really thinking that. Come on, like, it's like when you really think about certain things, it's like, would you want to? No, come on, that's stupid. So yeah, so through those stories, it'll unravel more, and the man in yellow, I think through the kids being freed, the man in yellow will decompose, and that would be something, because somebody with the first first season of It's Welcome to Derry, I think the guy that plays the man in yellow played the disfigured man that, you know, you see in the woods. And so maybe doing something, you know, I don't know. I mean, and that could have been, you know, I mean, I think part of it could have been him doing certain things with his body, and the other part could be, you know, CGI, to where, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with CGI. Sorry, it's hard for me to talk sometimes, but when you overdo it, it's like, come on. Using it with practical effects, I mean, I love a good practical effect, and, you know, so, so I think we'll see the man in yellow start to decompose, start to shrink into the shrieking violets. Help me! Help me! That'd be a good parody. Just the man in yellow, the fly in yellow. But I do think we will see the boy in white turn into the man in white. And with that, the actor playing the boy in white now, I think he's good. But again, even when Victor, after the massacre, when he was a boy, I do believe it was the same actor playing the boy in white. But I think because things are finally being solved, the boy in white was stuck being a little boy. And, you know, with this finally being solved, he's able to grow. He's able to become an adult, become, you know, finally not have to live, you know, under the curse that his dad created. And I think once, you know, I wonder, I have to wonder the actor they will get to portray that. You know, you can leave your comments below on who you think would be a good man in white. Um, somebody, I'm like thinking, who could be somebody who could really deliver that, who could really give it to the man in yellow, like, man, or the dad in yellow. Yeah, the dad in yellow. Yeah, so, and the son in white and the dad in yellow. Uh, you know, I wonder who would be a good actor. I know with Lost, and yes, they could get the main actor from that. Yeah, he'd be good, but if there's anybody else you can think of, post a comment below. You could also, reply to this on my X, Twitter, and Blue Sky accounts. I really, it's like, if they do that, and again, I do believe they will, that if there's somebody who could really give it to them, and oh man, I love a good monologue. I love when somebody can really deliver something and you're like, oh yeah, give it to me. It's like, this is really good. Like, I mean, some of my favorite scenes are not necessarily from people doing things, but from people saying things. And a good monologue, oh my goodness. Oh, please, yes. So yeah, tell me that below. But yeah, and another thing with that is that, yeah, we will see the boy in white. Even it might happen at, as soon as the next episode. I mean, we know with Victor, and I'll make a separate video about the trailer. But with Victor hearing Boy in White saying, you know what they're doing, it might not be about the bottle tree. That might not be what it's about. It could be about something else. So that's something you have to be careful with trailers. Not everything is as it seems, and so not everything, you see that and like, oh, so it's about the bottle tree. It might not be. So, I think we might see the boy in white. We might see another actor, an older actor, start to portray the boy in white. And because this part of this thing is finally solved. So the boy in white growing and becoming an adult, that it's going to be great. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Hey, like I said, and I do want to say this, and I don't want to make anybody feel like they have to. If you can't, I understand. But times are really tough here with me, with my health, my family. Things are, as far as money goes, things are tighter than normal. And so if you can, please, even if it's only $1, donate to my Cash App, my Venmo, my PayPal, anything you could do to help out. I also have my Amazon links, as far as, things I'd like, a review list of things I'd like to review. Also, I want to update my PC. I'm using also an old PC that I have, so maybe testing it out to see how good it runs. So I would like to do gaming and live streaming, seeing certain games. I used to think I wasn't good, but seeing other games, it's like, well, that's not that hard, so hopefully I can update it and, have a better running system and be able to do that and bring you more stuff. So, you can find those links below. Again, I'm not really good at editing. It's not something with my health and with, what, I can afford to get and do. I mean, I can't really do it, so if you're willing to do it for free, help me out, that'd be great. When I'm able to get some money in, then I will definitely pay you, and, but, I mean, if you could help out, that'd be great. If you with a thumbnail, and if you want to help like with a banner, and with that, and then with editing videos and stuff, that'd be great too. You could find my personal YouTube as well. That's where I talk about what I'm going through in life, and also things I see going on in the world, things I don't like, things that I do like, and certain reasons, just certain things that I don't want to. To me, I think life, certain things, the term political, everything's political, really, when you look at it, but, I don't want to distract, people from being caught up in it a lot, because sometimes you need to be able to do one thing one time and then do something else another time, and I want to be able to do that for you guys, so that you guys can get away from the world. Like, I don't want to focus on that. How about something fun? So yeah, you could do that as well. Linktree has all that stuff below. Like this video, subscribe, leave a comment, but be nice. That's all I ask. Here in Frumly, or Frumland, we're all one big community of misfits, vagrants, however you, vagabonds, I don't know, however you want to call us. We're all, let's, be kind to one another, and get out of this cursed land. Seriously, this land. I also want to say that I will try to cover The Institute Season 2, and I'll make a video on that, talking about what I think, what I'd like to see in these series going forward. I do think, and I want to say this, because it's something I think it'd be stupid if they didn't do it, but Drew Barrymore coming back as Charlie from Firestarter, do that in a heartbeat. Please do that. Drew might be open to it, the writers might be open to it, King might be open to it. Please, that would be so awesome to see her come back to help the kids, because, I mean, these kids, those kids could be, a result of the shop and everything that happened to Charlie, so, it could help to be able to bring, because this is a bigger, that institute, that place was only one place. They have these places all over the world. So you need to take them all down. So, yeah. That's something I want to say. I'd love to see that happen. That would be so cool. And it can't be any other actor playing, Charlie. It has to be Drew. I mean, come on, dude. Seriously, like, she can do it. She can act still. I mean, I'm not going to say somebody can't. I'm not. No, but anyway, rambling again. You can edit for me, please. But yeah, this is a long video. I don't want to keep you guys any longer, so, but I will try to do that, and I will get some different reviews out, not only about movies and TV, but also, product reviews on, I'm a big fan of coffee, so if you know any good coffee stuff, let me know. Drinks, food, equipment, like, electronic equipment, stuff that could be good for, a build. And I know Amazon isn't the only place you could get parts, so if you know other places, or again, if you know a place that has, like, a certain part that I need, or a certain part you think would be better, let me know. You can send me the money to be able to help me get it. That would be great too. And same with products you see on my Amazon links. Because again, places have it for less, and you know, hey, you know, it could be a better deal. So let me know that stuff. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.